Thanks, Mark. Thanks for reading all those words that I emailed you last night. I really appreciate that. All right, so thanks for coming. I appreciate your patience. We're going to operate today more like a conversation than traffic school, where a guy lectures for 15 hours and then takes a couple questions. So anytime you have a question or a comment, just raise your hand, and one of our sexy mic men will run over to you with a microphone and ask it. Everyone take a look at Jeff in back. There's Jeff, and then also Corey over here. He's going to have a mic as well as take some pictures. All right, well, so much for the sexy mic men part. All right, so let's get right into it. Any questions? No, I was just kidding around. All right, the psychology of producing hit songs. It's a little bit of a misnomer. It should really be called the non-technical aspects of producing hit songs. Because when you're a producer, you're really dealing with people, music, arrangement, motivation, songwriting, all these non-technical elements. Producing is about 90% non-technical. I spend about 10% of my time engineering, tweaking EQs, setting things up. But in my mentality, it's all about getting the performers in sync, serving the song, serving the singers. And so today, we're going to be focusing on the non-technical elements. The world doesn't need more information on how to dial in a digital delay or anything like that. So when you're listening today, I want you to think how you could apply the things I have to say to your specific situation to become more successful. And that's kind of like the goal of all this. Human, music, creative, psychological, arrangement, motivation, inspiration, all the above. In order to draw upon these different characteristics, there's really a lot of different roles that as producer I take on. Are there any producers in the audience, first of all? Can any of the producers maybe chime in on what kind of roles other than producer they feel that they take on, right?
Parental.
What's your name?
Dave Bradley.
Dave Bradley. Parental. All right. Here's a question over here. Tell us your name. Everyone, if you're going to speak, tell us your name so we kind of know who we're talking to.
My name is Jerry Palumbo. The freedom to create. Actually, I don't like to micromanage. I let people hire really good musicians and let them bring their element to the table.
So delegator.
Yeah.
All right. That's a role.
Empower them.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. One more. How about this young man back here?
My name's Matt Rivera. Being a translator.
Translator.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really glad you mentioned that because later on that's going to come into play with one of the little anecdotes I have to tell you. Here's the list that I came up with. Producer, engineer, songwriter, musician, motivator. Here's the fun stuff. Father, mother, brother, sister, dictator, slave. And I'm going to talk about where slave comes into play. Psychologist, chauffeur, and most importantly, believe it or not, punching bag. All right? Since my job is to serve the song and the artist can have very delicate egos, it's my job to take the hit or do whatever it takes to get it down on tape. I don't care if I have to piss off the artist or be, their slave and cower to them and can I get you some water and hey, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing I've ever heard. I'll be sincere about it, but I'll do whatever it takes to get a great performance down on tape. So here's where punching bag comes into play. Here's a little practical tip in the studio. A lot of times there will be a take where, say, maybe a singer does something that's absolutely a travesty. And what I'll do is, rather than tell them that, I'll probably just say, I forgot to press the record button. Can we do another take? Something like that. Because I want to keep it positive. I don't want them in a negative space. If I have to give them some specific direction, okay, but since we're doing another take, what do you say we do it with a little bit more shazam, a little bit more bang, and maybe, I don't know, sing the notes on tune, something like that. So that comes into play. Psychologist, absolutely. when you're producing, you're really taking somebody's songs, or maybe the songs you've co-written with them, but you're capturing the essence of who they are at the deepest level in a music form. So you really got to get to know your artists. So when I first meet artists, we don't just come in and like, okay, let's just talk about music and blah, blah, blah. The first thing I say is, get me inside your head musically. I want to understand their vision for their music. And then I start asking them more questions about themselves and get to know them as people, because that's going to play into both how I approach them during the recording project and also what their songs are trying to say. So that's really important. I want to go back one. We've got to have a basis. So we have to have a little bit of a basis for taking on a recording project. And so this is my little constitution I came up with. These are in no particular order, but the first one, the song is king. And there's no amount of amazing, wonderful production that can facelift a great song. It's kind of like a movie could have all the greatest CGI and acting and lighting and music and everything else, but if the script blows, there's no point. It's the same thing. So when you're writing songs, and do we have any songwriters in here, by the way? Couple? All right. When you're writing songs, you got to be really honest with yourself. Is this the best the song can be? You have to rewrite. You have to put your own ego aside or your own desire to just hurry up and finish it or hurry up and force a rhyme. I see a lot of times people will jump on rhymezone.com, which, by the way, is a great resource for rhymes, and just look for the rhyme. I got to find the rhyme, but it doesn't make any lyrical sense, or it doesn't paint a picture or anything like that. So you have to be willing to be your hardest critic and rewrite your songs, but make them good. If I take a bad song and I produce it big and huge and beautiful, what you end up with is a very professionally crystal, larger-than-life piece of shit. All right? So, write good songs. Okay, so the song is king, vibe is queen. That means basically in the studio, I would rather have a juicy, vibey performance over a technically proficient performance every time. Not that we don't want it to be technically proficient, but if it doesn't have the feeling and the emotion and the vibe there, it comes off kind of sterile. So I try and focus in on setting an environment for the performers to be as vibey as possible. And that could be anything from the physical environment, like lighting candles for a ballad and turning the lights down, or if they're like a really aggressive rock kind of thing, I might actually try and piss them off or agitate them a little bit and kind of get them in this certain frame of mind, whatever it takes. Now, the star of the mix, vocals. This seems kind of obvious, but I see a lot of amateur producers make this mistake, and it's really one of the psychological problems I see, where they start to fall in love with their arrangement and production, and somehow, when it comes time to mix, the vocals have sort of been buried below the mix, and you could hear this wonderful tapestry of music, but you can't understand the words. Well, you got to remember, the words are the star, the lyrics are the star. That's the whole point of the song. So if your vocals are loud enough, just remember they aren't, okay? Bump them up a little bit. I even had one time, I'm thinking about that all the time, and still I was working on a mix, and my 11-year-old daughter came running into the room, unsolicited by me, and she's like, "Dad, the vocals aren't loud enough. You gotta tweak it, you gotta tweak it, you gotta bump it up," like that. So I was like, "Oh, okay, well, I thought, that's a nice little happy accident. I wasn't planning on that happening, but maybe she's got something." So I bumped it up and took some time off from the song and listened to it the next day, and sure enough, she was absolutely right. And to this day, that is where the volume of the vocal remains on that song. And of course, finally, if it sounds good, it is good. Now, if you remember earlier, I said I don't care what it takes to make it happen. And that means that I don't care if I have to cheat. I don't care if I have to spend hours and hours and hours. I don't care if I've got to come in and replace something when the artist doesn't know about it late at night because I know it's going to make the recording better. Anything that it takes to make it sound good, it is good. But what that also means to you is you could be more creative. And we're going to get into creative use of technology in a minute. But just keep that in mind. There's one other on the Constitution that I think is really important, and that is this one. Hooks equal checks. All right? If you want to make some money in this business, it's going to come down to hooks. Catchy little 2- and 3-note phrases and things that you can cheerlead along. Na, 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 na. How many people know that song? Anybody? That's a Nana song. The do, 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 da, da, da. These aren't even lyrics, right? But they're catchy hooks. So what you want to be doing when you're producing, when you're writing, when you're creating, is constantly looking for hooks, lyrical hooks, melodic hooks, rhythmic hooks, anything that's simple and catchy, and you want to maximize the number of hooks in your song. You want to lace your songs with them, and you want to trim off the stuff that's not hooky. Obviously, if you're doing some kind of jazz fusion thing where it's just a walk in the park and whatever, that might be different. There's exceptions to all these rules, obviously. But always be looking for those hooks, because that's what translates into a hit song, and that's what translates into checks. So checks are a good thing, and by the way, they're very beneficial to your psychological life. They make you feel good. So just tying it in with the psychology of hit songs. So I want to talk about some human tricks in the recording studio. And by the way, again, if anyone has any comments or questions, just go ahead and interrupt me. It's A-OK. All right? In fact, I prefer it. A lot of times, the artist needs a certain something to happen to get that magic take. And I wanted to tell you a couple of actual real-life stories, human tricks that I've used, and some of you might have your own. And if anybody has any, please tell me, because I'm always compiling a larger library of ways to manipulate people or motivate people or innovate or anything I can do to get a better recording and a better song on tape. So I want to talk about the phonetic workaround. And I think the gentleman over there mentioned translator as one of the roles as producer, right? Okay, so I was producing an artist from Malaysia who wanted to do an American rock record, and we had about 3 weeks to write and record the entire thing. She flew in from Malaysia. I had a team of songwriters, including myself, write all the songs, and so we're cranking all this out ahead of time before she gets in town. She gets in town, and we've given her the lyrics ahead of time so that she can learn them, but the thing that I discovered is that the way she was taught to speak, she was taught very proper English, where you articulate each and every syllable, which doesn't necessarily translate to singing an American rock record quite well. So like the first lyric of this one song called I Like It Best, she would sing it, I like it when you buy me diamonds, like that. And I was like, okay, no, you gotta sing it looser, a little more drunker, you gotta kind of loosen it up, like I like it when you buy me diamonds, like that, We try again and again and again. I like it when you buy me diamonds. And in my head, I'm going, oh no, I got 3 weeks to record an entire record, and we've got a problem of enunciation for the vocalist, and I gotta figure something out. So we worked a little bit more that day on some other things. I kind of switched gears, and I didn't bring this up to her right away. But we called it a day kind of early, and then we sat and chatted for a while, got to know each other a little bit better. And I slept on it, and then the next morning I came up with the solution. I need to type out phonetically exactly how I want her to hear it. So I would type out, I like it, L-I-G-G-I-T, then, V-E-N, you-vi. I don't know how you spell vi, but I did a V-Y, Zymans with a Z, all right? Hoping that I went too far the other direction, and then her natural proclivities to enunciate each and every syllable would sort of strike a midpoint. And so, she comes in the next day, I like it when you buy me Zymans. Oh, it came out. We did the whole record this way. Came out great, all right? So that's an example of interpreter, and I had never been interpreter before. I can't tell you how many times somebody has said to me, that guitar doesn't sound purple enough. And I'm like, without missing a beat, that is no problem, all right? And I go into my equipment dresser, a little dresser that I have that has all these stomp boxes and old gear, and I pull this big thing out. It's got a big honking volume knob and lights on it and everything like that. And of course, I plug it in, and I keep it in bypass, and I turn up the volume in the room, and then we play it back, and I go, purple. And they're like, yeah. So, whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. All right. And by the way, I want you to steal these tricks, use them, and if any of you end up ever working with me, I guess I'm going to have to come up with some new ones, because they won't work on you now, will they? But let me talk about the chair story. I had a situation where, wait, before we do that, I actually wanted to play you a snippet of the song, I Like It Best, that I just described for you. So let me switch gears. It's actually cool to hear some music when we're talking about music, right? Why not? So we'll just do a little bit of this.
I like it when you give me diamonds, rubbed up like Christmas in July.
She said rubbed up like Christmas in July. Rubbed up, not wrapped up.
2 first-class tickets to the island.
She said tiggits. It said Tiggits on the paper.
A lover's endless summer night.
So now that I've said all that, I'll play it again and you can listen for it, and see.
Like it when you give me diamonds, rubbed up like Christmas in July. 2 first-class tickets to the island. A lover's endless summer night. I like it when you bring me chocolate.
All right, you get the idea. All right, so that was the phonetic workaround. So the next one is the chair story. And I had a situation where I was working with a vocalist. This was a recording when I was the head producer and songwriter for Famous Music, which is Paramount Pictures Publishing Division. Well, it was. They were bought out by Sony, but all that business stuff, that's another seminar. Anyway, they wanted me to create a hit single for Eric Clapton to record. And so a friend of mine who writes with Celine Dion and we got together and tried to write what we thought would be, a very Eric Clapton-y type of song. And we brought in the singer, and I'm working with the vocalist, and he's sitting in this nice, comfortable leather chair that I have in my studio. It's reclining back. He's sounding incredible, incredible. So we're going over the song and where I want him to get bigger and kind of lay back and the various dynamics. And it's like, okay, I got it. Let's go in the booth and record it. He gets in the booth, every take, sterile. Sterile. So I put him back in the chair. Mic'd up the chair, we put on headphones. Hey, he sounds good in the chair. If it sounds good, it is good, right? So I stuck him in the chair. Came out great. Another thing, I'm going to play that song in a second. Another thing that I want you to be looking for when you're doing your recordings are happy accidents. These are the things that you don't plan on that somehow actually sound really cool. All right? One example, which I'm going to play for you, is on my recording program, which is Motu's Digital Performer. That's what I use mostly. I had a whole big, thick background vocal, Beach Boys sounding, Pink Floyd-y sort of bridge section. And for some reason, I had copied and pasted it like way after the song, the bridge was done, and left it on the computer and forgot about it. Later on, we started thinking, we need an extra chorus to make this song, feel and flow right. So we added an extra chorus, and then we played everything back, and I had forgotten that those bridge background vocal tracks were there. But when they came on, all of a sudden, that last extra chorus took on a new dimension that I never planned on. It was a happy accident. We left it in the mix. And these kinds of things happen all the time. Or maybe there was a time once when I accidentally kicked a little stomp box and the chord fell halfway out and this crazy weird kind of buzzing electronic noise came out. I was like, I don't know how we'd ever be able to create that. So we started recording it right away. We started messing around with the chord, doing different things with it, getting all experimental and mad scientists with it. And then someday later on in life, I may decide to drop that sound in. I end up doing these things like all the time. I'm sure my neighbors hate me for this, but you want to look for these happy accidents as opposed to like, oh no, that's a mistake, or no, let's just delete that. No, these things kind of like take your ideas to a whole new level. You didn't even plan on it. So I want to play this song. It's called I Will Carry You, and you can hear the leather and the velvet in the singer's voice from when he was sitting in the chair. And then at the end, you'll hear that bridge section come back in. And I might point out a couple other things about production that are important to note. But let me play this for you. And here we go. Over barbed wire. Well, I just noticed something. If you listen closely, I play all my own instruments except the drums usually. Apparently, I had a stuffed nose that day, because after that first, you hear a little. Over barbed wire blues and hot coals of heartache, I lift you with unbroken stride. Walked my heart right through sorrow's open front gate to chase the worry from your side, from your side. I will carry you in your time of need. I'll give you my words, the spirit of my heart, when trouble is brewing in your eyes. The love you deserve is what I will offer when angels of mercy run and hide, run and hide. Time of need, I will carry you. I'm just gonna listen. Hold on tight. It'll be alright. You live by your heart and die when it's breaking. Sometimes that's a cross that's hard to bear. But don't curse at the dark, that's not in your nature. Just call for me and I'll be there. I will carry you in your time of need. I Oh, you're looking at my notes, right. Oh, that's okay, let's go that direction in a second. All right. So you guys heard how the bridge vocals were copied and pasted. One other thing I want to point out, in the bridge, he says, as it starts, you can hear a voice go, "I'm just gonna listen." Now, I don't know if that touched anybody here in their heart or if they heard that or
I'm just gonna listen.
What's that? Tasty. No, not tasty. After we did a take, I started to play, and he wanted to say, "I'm just going to listen." He didn't want to sing another take, but I was recording it. Another happy accident, and somehow it brought the lyrical message of the song into this heartwarming place, and I was like, "I'm just going to listen to you, babe." So again, look out for happy accidents, and the neat thing is you still, you get the credit for it, so hey. One thing I wanted to comment on is there probably hasn't been anybody who hasn't sort of been in that situation where they want to help out a friend or a loved one or something like that. And I just want to touch on the Joe Solo definition of what a good song is. And this is from a book that I'm writing. A good song describes what people don't know how to express. A good song describes what people don't know how to express. And that universality is what helps create a hit song, because then more and more people can connect with that lyric. It'll resonate with them. The music is the thing that kind of opens up their soul to accept a common lyrical message that everyone can relate to. And you lace it with lots of hooks and some other things we're going to talk about in here. And again, that translates into, hopefully a very popular song, which is very satisfying professionally and checks. So there you have it. All right, so you wanted to hear the female version?
Just curious how the flavor of that went. If it went similar, if you went with the same production.
Rather than describe it, I'll go ahead and play it. I'll play a little bit of it. This really shows how the production you choose can really change the perception of the song.
Over barbed wire blues and hard coals of heartache, I left you with unbroken stride. Walk my heart right through sorrow's open front gate to chase the worry from your side, from your side.
Anybody notice the difference?
Somebody suggest that to you, or you just
Uh,
thought of it yourself?
What I like to do when I'm constructing a song whose intention is to place it with another artist in order to have the widest possible possibilities and opportunities, I kind of double those opportunities by hitting both genders. And then I figured as long as I was doing that, why don't I do it in a different style? Maybe it was out of smarts, maybe it was out of boredom, I don't know. But we decided to go a little bit more pop electro, 80s influence kind of thing. I myself like the original version better, but I think it works with the lyric better. But hey, I've got it. Should anybody call me up and say, I need an electro pop female song that somehow talks about supporting somebody else for this film that we're doing. And, oh, yes, I've got just the thing for you. Did I see a question over there?
Yeah, I was just going to ask.
Here, wait. What's your name?
David.
Hi, Dave.
Hi. I was just gonna ask, like, what made you come out with the male version rather than the female version? Because I really like the female version a whole lot better. So.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad.
It sounds really good.
Thanks. Again, the male version was originally intended to be a pitch song for Eric Clapton, who happens to also be male. So, you know, fun little story. That song was rejected, and the story that I got from my publisher was it sounded too much like an Eric Clapton hit. And there was nothing he could do with it except slap his voice on it, maybe a couple little guitar licks, but I learned a good lesson there. If you're going to do a song that's meant to be a pitch song, don't make it sound too much like the artist itself, otherwise their own natural ego might go, well, how can I contribute to this? You know, shoot, I might as well just sing it, you know, and put it out like that, but lesson learned. All right, so I want to talk about a thing that I call ego shaping. This is really important because we're all artists and creatives, and we have delicate and sensitive egos, and that's something you can leverage in the studio. And this is not only when you're working and producing for somebody else, but even you could do this for yourself too, if you're working on your own music. Is take advantage of the ego. You have to be kind of honest but delicate with the ego. And what this comes down to is always pointing out the strong parts of a performance, the strong parts of the song, and saying, well, but let's trim the fat off. Let's just find all the hooks and the strong parts, and the fat we can trim off to have just a better piece of meat for our sonic meal here. And here's an example of ego shaping, all right? And if you record yourselves, please apply this to yourself because it'll make a big difference in the results you get in your recordings. Generally, you know, you start recording with a first verse, and the way I do it, I hit all the verses first and stay in that groove, and then we go into sort of a chorus mode. I might even retweak some of the mic settings for the chorus because they might be singing it harder and louder. And then we'll get the artist in a chorus mode and just focus on chorus. So they're always in this certain pattern. I never have, you know, do it live where we're going to sing a verse and then the chorus and the verse and the chorus like that. Even if they want to, sure, why not? But I tend to always get better results staying focused on one type of section at a time. So we'll hit the first verse, and we'll do it several times, and there's sort of a warm-up phase, but eventually, yeah, you start honing in on it, it's pretty good, you're satisfied. All right, let's go on to the second verse. And you start doing the second verse, same thing, it's a little warm-up phase, and but you nail it a little bit faster. And let's say this is a third verse in my example. All right, so now we're on the third verse, and first, second take, perfect. They're warmed up, it sounds great, and they're like, great, let's go to the choruses. And I'm like, yes, let's go to the choruses. But in my head, I'm thinking, we're going to come back to this other stuff later, all right? So we start hitting the choruses. We go back to the first chorus, and same process. We start warming up and getting them into a chorus mode and a chorus vibe, and I pump them up, and come on, it's a chorus. Don't bore us, get us to the chorus. It's got to be big. It's got to hit people over the head. We got to feel it, right? Okay, so let's say we bang out that first chorus. It's time to go to the second one. We do the same thing. Second chorus happens a little faster, a little bit better. We get to the third and fourth chorus. Oh, by the time we're there, they are cooking. And then I'm like, oh my God, you know what? It is so incredible at the end of the song that quite honestly, the first chorus doesn't live up to the amazing performance you're doing at the end of the song. What do you say while we're in the groove, we go back and knock out that first chorus? If they're tuned into this, they'll be like, yeah, definitely, I'm in the groove, let's do that. If they're like, well, no, I'm kind of done, we did the whole thing, I want to cross this off my mental to-do list. I'm like, well, no problem, but come on in, let me just play you something. And I'll play them the fourth chorus. And they'll be like, yeah, see, I'm satisfied. And then I'll play them the first chorus, and they go, okay, all right. Yeah, you know what? let's do the chorus again. Let's do the first chorus again. So we hit that first chorus, and now it sounds incredible. Well, guess what? The second chorus doesn't live up to the first and the third and fourth chorus. So now we got to go back and do that one again too. You're on fire, let's do it. Yeah, they come in, bang out the second chorus. Well, let's hit that third one, right? It's just a little bit lower in oomph than everything else. We hit the third chorus, and boom, all the choruses are done. Now they're thinking it's Miller time. They're celebrating. The song is done. Oh, I did great. And I go, you know what? Let's listen to the song from top to bottom. And all of a sudden, they hear that first verse, and they're going, you know, Joe, that first verse doesn't really live up to the incredible performance of the rest of the song. And now it's their own idea. And, you know, I'm like, well, you know what, yes, why not? Let's do it, yeah. So we get back and we record the first verse over. Same thing happens for the second verse. Then we go ahead and, well, at this point, they're so warmed up and in the groove, we go ahead and hit the third verse and the bridge. Done. That's how it happens almost every time. And as a producer, you have to have the patience and the strength to nudge them forward and shape their ego in order to get these performances, these inspired performances down. So that's ego shaping. We're not talking about technology a lot today, but I want to talk about using technology creatively. And that is basically using plugins, processors, gear, drumsticks, really anything that makes sound, your human voice, in ways that they weren't intended to be used. That's what creates really cool new vibes, cool new sounds. And that's where like inspiration comes from. I don't know if any of you ever like heard a sound on a synth or stumbled on some kind of guitar sound and that inspired your writing and inspired the song? That's happened to you. That's it. So I'm always on the search for cool vibes, cool sounds, and those songs sort of write themselves out. But so here's a few examples just to get your minds thinking in this way of using things in the way they weren't meant to be used. Wouldn't it be cool if you took a vocalist and put them through like an old stomp box guitar pedal board and put on like the distortion and some delay and had them singing like I'm no singer, obviously you can tell, but you put it through all these processes and put it into your mix in the background, and all of a sudden there's like this. It's not a saxophone, and it's not a human voice, and it's something. It's all mangled up, but I like it because it's organic. There's a vibe there. And a new instrument, never before created in the history of the universe, has been made. And so that's over the top. But anyway, there's one example. Or it might be cool to say, put some reverb on a hi-hat, and then put some distortion on that reverb, edit out the hi-hat, and you end up with this sort of weird kind of sound. Right, just the decay. And then take that and layer it on top of a snare drum, and now you got a really slamming snare drum. But don't stop there. Take the whole thing, send it out through a guitar amp, mic that. Close and far away, loud, and you've got a big snare drum. And it's this kind of mad scientist thinking and creative use of technology that's going to inspire you to come up with new vibes and new sounds. All right. Well, I guess invent new instruments and sounds. That's basically what I just described. But, of course, when you're doing this, if you're in this experimental mode, just ask yourself, what if? What if I plug this into that? What if I took a beer can and slapped it on a guitar with the strings open? What could I do with that? I don't know. What if? I have like hour-long, 2-hour-long what-if sessions where I'm just constantly building this library of stuff that may or may never get used, and a good portion of it does get used, often at times when I had no idea I was going to use it and I needed something. Maybe there's like a bridge, and I can't think of how the music for the bridge should go. So I'm like, oh, I know. Let's just do the lyrics and a drum beat and add a bunch of cool sounds from my what-if library. And now all of a sudden we've created this sonic interesting tapestry, and people hear it and they're like, wow, you went to a whole nother place, when the truth was I just couldn't think of any music. But anyway, I want to give you an example of one of these things, though, where I took a female vocalist, and I took her voice and I chopped it up. Well, what I did actually was I time stretched it real far to the point where the computer couldn't handle it, and it sort of started to glitch out, and her turned into sort of a like kind of tone. And then I took that and I chopped it up into tiny little fragments that were in time with a different song for a different hip-hop artist I was producing. So I'm stealing from myself. And then I pitched that note up and down through all 12 notes, so I now had, a little sound, and then I can come up with this arrangement that I thought would sound really good, fading into the end of this sort of acoustic hip-hop song. So I'm going to play the end of that song for you, and we'll get to that one in a second. Well, here, what the hell, why not? This is a picture of me after my last project I was working on. I just thought there might be some people who could relate to that, so I threw that in there for fun. But anyway, all right, so this is called Lonely Road.
A man's journey starts with his
Wait, let's
first
get to the
step,
end.
sense of birth, first breath. We I've been steady searching for my soul. I got myself back on my pockets, and I got myself back
after
on
the
that
session,
road.
I wanted to do this long fade where the music fades out and then the tapestry of this instrument I created fades out behind it.
Take that road sometimes. Down that lonely road to see where we are, where we came from. On that lonely road, and where we're going. So don't be afraid. Down that lonely road, take the path unchosen. Down that lonely road.
Yeah, that took about 12 hours to create that, by the way. But here's the thing I love about production is that once you get it there, it lasts forever. It's not like losing weight where you have to keep it up or working out or something like that. So that's one thing I just truly love about production, and why I think that it's important to be just honest and meticulous about your mixes, and they're not there until they make your friend's arms, hair stand up, that kind of thing. And so there's a lot of honesty that goes into whether your mixes are there or not. And I use the analogy in terms of just like the dedication to making it absolutely great. What a difference between good and great, all right? Good is the guy who finishes 4th place in the decathlon at the Olympics, who wallows in obscurity forever. Great is the guy who was just a couple of hundredths of a second faster, who got the gold and the Wheaties contract and the glory and the girls and the money and everything else. And it's that dedication to really go for great, that makes you the gold medal guy versus the 4th place guy who probably has a lot of psychological problems because he didn't quite make it. So think about that the next time you're thinking, oh, this is good enough. If you're thinking that way, it's not, All right, so all right. Well, this actually does have some purpose. We've only got so much energy and time. We start to burn out. We love this stuff. We're passionate. Sometimes we get obsessive. Sometimes we go a little psycho, trying to get this idea in our head, and it's not translating. Has anyone ever done this over and over and over? You're just like, ugh, I can't get it, but you keep trying and keep trying. Well, there's a lot of things you could do to sort of plan ahead to reduce the amount of energy and obsessiveness you're doing when you're working on creative things, and to prevent this kind of burnout. All right, so I want to start out with what's called the Joe Solo studio law. Now, this is a fact of studio life. The Joe Solo studio law states that everything can and will take at least 3 times longer than the absolute longest possible time you thought it would take in the studio, even after you've already taken into account the Joe Solo studio law. So, what can we do to deal with this fact of life? Well, there's a thing that I like to talk about, and it's called dumb dog, smart dog. And in case you can't remember that, I've put that up there for you. All right. Dumb dog, smart dog. So there's 3 dogs, 2 dumb ones and 1 smart one. And I bet coming to NAMM, you never thought we were going to be doing canine analogies. But here we are. All right. So the first dumb dog comes along, and he's real dumb. He comes up to a fence, and he sees this bone on the other side of the fence. And man, does he want that bone. He wants it bad. And he starts running to the fence with all his power, trying to break through that fence to get the bone. He tries it over and over and over, but to no avail, he doesn't make it through. After a long time of this, he's disgruntled, he's frustrated, he gives up and moves on. Well, the second dog comes along. He's a dumb dog too, not quite as dumb though. He tries this for a while, banging himself against the fence over, and he starts thinking to himself, well, this isn't working. Maybe I ought to just try something else. I know, I'll start digging a hole. And so he starts to dig. He wants to dig a hole right under that fence. He digs and digs and digs and digs. He's persistent. He digs and digs and digs. This is most people in the music business trying to be successful, by the way, this dumb dog, all right? Digging. Just, I got to get that bone. I got to get that bone. I'm going to do it. Dig. And a long time later, after maximum effort, he pops out the other side and gets the bone, and he's completely frustrated and tired, and he can't even enjoy the bone. But anyway, that's the second dumb dog. Now, the smart dog comes along, and he sees the bone on the other side of the fence, and the first thing he says to himself is, I'm going to think about this situation before I do anything. And I'm going to get some perspective on the situation. So he walks back about 20 feet, notices the open gate 30 yards over there, and just runs around and gets the bone with the greatest of ease. Be a smart dog, fool. All right? Now, what does this have to do with music? What does this have to do with the psychology of producing hit songs? Well, if you're a band or you're producing a band, we're talking pre-production. A lot of bands come into the studio, and they start working things out in the studio, and they're not ready, and it's much better to go into the rehearsal studio and work out the arrangements there several times so they have a chance to get it under their skin and let it be second nature. And then when you get them into the recording studio, you could take what's already great and make it even greater, as opposed to like pointing out all the flaws and where certain things aren't hooking up and locking together. This will mess with everybody's ego, and then arguments start. And when you got all those egos from a band flying back and forth, producer this and that, the other, that's, punching bag happens again. You don't want to do that. So the smart dog thing to do when you're working with bands is create the arrangements and work it out in the rehearsal studio, and then let them practice it for a while before you bring them in. Even if you end up bringing them in and recording each instrument one at a time, they will have broken the song down to its DNA level, and everyone will be like, oh, I didn't know you played that. Oh, I didn't know you played it like that. The band itself will actually become better live, too. They'll be that much tighter through the experience. All right, so there's an example of taking the time to see the situation, like the smart dog, and yielding better results faster. So the other thing is perspective. You notice the smart dog, he walked backwards. He walked away from the bone. Now for you, the bone, you could call it your song, you could call it success, or whatever your goals and dreams are. But the whole point is perspective. Now, in the studio, we're often working for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and our face is buried in these speakers. They're right in our face. Our ears are burning out, and you're losing all perspective. Not just mentally, but the ears, after about 45 minutes, actually naturally start to compress the sound, and it changes. So you've got to take ear breaks, you've got to take brain breaks, and you have to get perspective. So the 2 ways you can get perspective, and there's probably many more that you can think of yourselves. One, of course, is to take breaks. Take breaks. All right? It's simple, but it's effective. The other thing is, you've got to listen to your music on multiple sets of speakers that aren't your studio monitors. Everything always sounds great in the studio. But as soon as you get it on the jam box or the little earbuds or out in the car stereo, all of a sudden it doesn't translate. Everything's different. So you have to get perspective on these other areas, and it's good for you to hear it in these other areas outside of this room that you're so used to. And sometimes, even to get perspective, I'll do something like I'll go into another room, and I'll close the door, and I'll start reading my emails, what have you, while the stuff is playing. So I'm experiencing the music like a lot of people experience music, in the background, in another room, and I'm sort of half paying attention to, like, how much does it suck or not, basically, and I'm getting the perspective of someone who listens to music, how music is often listened to, and that tells you things. If you're in the other room and the door's closed and all you could hear is treble and no bass, and normally in that situation you hear a lot of bass and a lot less treble, your mix, the balance is way off, that kind of thing. So it's important to get perspective by taking breaks, by listening in multiple listening environments, and doing things like that. So at the end of the day, be a smart dog, not a dumb dog. The Dynamics Roadmap. Now we're really getting into the meat and potatoes of what really does create a hit song. And this doesn't apply to every single song in the world. It's a guideline, it's a template. It really works well. It really works well for pop and for ballads and for rock songs. And what this basically just illustrates is the thickness and hugeness of each section and how it flows bigger and smaller, then bigger and then smaller, but then bigger before, and then the bridge is even bigger, and then the third chorus takes it to a new level, and the fourth chorus, it takes it into outer space, and then you bring the plane in for a landing with a little outro down here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play you an example of this, and I'll help point out what section is which in the most advanced technical ways you have ever seen.
My soul around till I don't know which direction I'm facing. When I've been told more than my share of lies, and trust is just another dream I'm chasing. When it seems so hopeless,
now we're getting ready to set up
when
for the first big chorus. We're going to do some backwards plucking into the belt to bring it in too.
It's a new day.
Whatever that
is. You give me something to believe in. Something that's real, something that's true, that keeps me moving through all of these walls. No, I'll never fall again. I'm gonna rise through the sky to a place I've never been. You give me something to believe in.
All right, now we're going to bring the vibe back down into a little valley for the second verse, but it's going to be a little bit bigger than the first verse was, so we have a general trend of growth. I sound like an economics guy, don't I?
Like a ship at sea, you'd be the compass there to guide me. If I were blind, just like the darkest of nights, you'd be the light that shines inside me.
I thought it'd be a good idea to bring in some tambourine to keep it going.
No matter where I go, I am not alone, 'cause I found a place
it up.
Let the rain fall down on me, yeah. 'Cause I can see you dry today. In your arms, I am closer to something that never will fade.
All right, now we gotta go somewhere, right? We can't go back to a lame-o chorus. We gotta bring it up, change the key, make her higher.
Something that's real, something that's true, keeps me moving through all of these walls. No, I'll never fall again. I'm gonna rise through the sky to a place I've never been. So give me something. You give me something. You give me something to believe in.
Bring that plane in, nice, smooth landing. Holding onto the collar the whole song, and at the end, you're mine. Thanks. That is the Dynamics Roadmap. So now we're going to get into some really cool stuff.
Many
Oops,
times
sorry,
I've
that's
been
Macy.
told
Ah,
that
she's
I
been in my
should
life for
go.
so long I can't get rid of
They
her.
don't
Hold on.
know.
All right. So now we're going to get into a thing that I call multi-dimensional dynamic juxtaposition. What is that? All right. This is the key to maintaining interest in your productions. And that is quite simply taking opposites and weaving a tapestry of them together. That's the simplest way to put it. Now, when I talk about opposites, maybe I can get someone from the audience to mention a couple. Can anybody think of an opposite? Like one example would be mono versus stereo, or loud versus soft. Left, right, yes. Clean versus distorted, good. Any, excuse me? Married versus single, yes, very good. Although sometimes those aren't opposites, actually. But let's keep it in the sonic sense, in the sonic realm here.
Low pass versus high pass.
Low pass, right. Bassy versus trebly, for those of you who aren't technically inclined with the language. All right. There's others I could think of. There's organic versus digital. There's busy versus empty. There's highly processed versus completely completely organic. The list goes on and on. In fact, I've got a list here, and I'll email this to everybody if you get on my list of opposites. I'm just going to go through a couple of these and point them out. If you go to number 19, my favorite one is busy versus empty. You may have even noticed in that last song I played, the verses were much emptier and the choruses got busier. And this is a way for a chorus to tell the listener subconsciously, I am chorus. 25, pre-written versus improvised. It's a different mentality, all right? Hi-fi versus lo-fi. What if you had like really lo-fi verses and then super hi-fi choruses? So what multi-dimensional dynamic juxtaposition is collecting these various opposite concepts and putting them next to each other on each song section. So you might have a lo-fi, digital, empty, dry, muffled verse, and then the chorus comes in, and it's the opposite of all that. It's huge, it's wide and stereo, it's hi-fi, it's got echo and reverb on it, it's big, it's layered versus empty, it's busy versus empty. This is multi-dimensional dynamic juxtaposition, and that's what we call, or what I call the horizontal blend. But then to take it a step further, think about the vertical blend. Within each section of music, putting opposites together in each section. So you might have dry organic, or sort of dry electronic lo-fi drums and a very, wet organic vocal, or vice versa. You try and combine your opposites in the vertical blend within each section and juxtapose those with going to the next section with a different set of opposites, and that's how you maintain listener interest. And that's what we call multi-dimensional dynamic juxtaposition. And I'm going to play you an example of this. And I'm just going to do a verse and a chorus so you kind of get the feel. Let's see, what's a good one? You'll also notice the dynamics roadmap here.
Whispering something to your friends, maybe about me. The way you
There's a lot of like angsty electric guitar in the background. When we get to the B section, it's going to morph into this crystal clear guitar. That also was her voice that I turned into an instrument. And man, do the artists and singers love that when you take their voice and turn it into a new instrument and put it on their song. Yeah. Oh, talk about ego shaping. So we're going to wrap this thing up soon with, we should do this really quick. Real quick. You want to test market your music too, and you need to find out if your music blows or not. This is a technique not to find out if your music is good, but if it's not good. What you do is you take your music, you don't play it for your friends and family. They don't want to hurt your feelings. They're all going to stroke you and say, yes, I love it. You're wonderful. You're going to be a star. You're going to be at NAMM. But take it to a party where you don't know anybody, or you know very few people who they don't know you're a musician or a producer or what have you, and put the song on. Don't tell anybody it's yours. All right. If it doesn't suck, no one will say a thing. If it sucks, within 10 to 20 seconds, someone's going to go, what is this crap? Turn this off now. So that's how you find out if your music blows. It won't tell you if it's good, but it'll tell you if it's bad. All right, so I'm going to play this little video nugget for you, which is an example of what I send out in my email list. It's good to get here. I'm using the egg timer as a tool. Hi, Joe Solo here. I'm known in the industry as a record producer, songwriter, composer, and professional speaker on the music business. As a producer, I'm often asked what is the most valuable piece of studio equipment I own. And the answer I give? The egg timer. That's right, the egg timer. I always keep one close by, and here's why it's such a great piece of studio gear. Very often, creative professionals get so into what they're doing that they get lost. You're getting really into the mix, or you're recording take after take, or you're trying to find that perfect lyric and you just can't find it. You might go on for hours and hours and hours, pounding your head against the mixing board, trying to get it right, but achieving very little in the way of results. Well, in comes the egg timer to save you. If you set this baby to between 20 and 40 minutes, and you walk away when it goes off, this will give you space from your work, and that leads to valuable perspective. Here's an idea. After you go through several work break cycles, guided by the egg timer, take a long nap or even the whole night off. The way our brains work, your subconscious mind will continue to work things out, even in your sleep. And when you come back to it fresh the next day, that's when it delivers good results to your conscious mind. Cool. So remember, one of the greatest pieces of studio gear, my favorite, the egg timer. And when that bell goes off, as much as you'll have the urge to set it again instantly and dive right back into your work, don't. Stand up, take a breath, and walk away. You'll thank me later. Oh, looks like it's time for me to take a break. I'm Joe Solo, and I'm in your corner. Keep checking your email for your next Music Success Video Nugget. And if your friends want to sign up for these, no charge, they could do so by going to joesolo.com. We'll see you next time. All right, hey. So that's my video nugget series. Actually, Jeff over here is the director. If anyone gets credit for that, it's Jeff. He's the man. Jeff Hunt. Jeff Hunt, director extraordinaire. And all right, so this is my favorite and the last section of our talk today. It's the before and after section. And what I like to do is I like to wrap up by playing some demo examples that people have brought me, and then the radio-ready finished master that I produced, so that you can hear all these concepts applied to somebody else's music, see where it came from, and also it's a great way to win business for production. All right, so anyway, let me play a couple things, and we're not going to go through the whole songs here, because I think you get the idea after like a first verse and chorus, but let's do this one, all right? This artist came to me, and this is a situation where I produced him typically how I do, which is very synergistically, working together, coming up with ideas together. You know, everyone has to agree. If somebody doesn't like it, then we'll move on and find something else. Or if we're, going head-to-head over an idea, at the end of the day, I'll back off and say, it's your record, fine. I don't believe it, but I'm going to do the best I can, because maybe I don't see what's going on. Just because I'm the producer doesn't mean I know it all. In fact, I know it little. I'm just looking for, the good stuff. So we had a very synergistic time together. His name's Sean Marin, and this is the demo he brought me. I thought it was a bit 90s rock kind of thing. Whoops. project that I worked on this summer in 2011. Oh, okay, I thought the words would have come there. Maybe the intro is a little too long, you think? All right, so that's trimming the fat off. We cut that intro down.
There never seems to be a right time, a right place for us. We're always looking for someone in which we can trust. I never wanted anymore.
No pitching the vocal.
I took from you, so now I can't believe.
Now here's the chorus I like, the writing, and I like the harmony. It's a very 90s harmony, almost 80s and 90s. Okay, so now let me play you what I did with it. Thank you. All right. What I did was, after we recorded the whole song, I put on sort of this psychedelic backwards build momentum intro, but we kept it shorter and got right into the words and really motivated him to come up with a more solid performance. And then when we got to the backgrounds in the chorus, I brought in a female background singer to have a little bit more of that opposites kind of thing. And then she came up with the idea of putting this like Beatles note into the background, which even though that makes it more 60s, somehow it made it more modern too. I don't know why, but it worked. And so we go with it, because if it sounds good, it is good, right? All right.
Never seemed to be a right time, a right place for us. We're always looking for someone in which we can trust. I never wanted any more than what I took from you. So now I can't believe you saying that we are through. You don't ask, 'cause you don't think that you are just my everything. You don't ask, 'cause you don't think that you are just my everything. Seems that time is out of touch or lost its place. Synchronicity.
All right, so, oh, thanks. I wasn't gleaning for applause there, but let me see. Let's see if there's another fun one. Here, do a quick one, and then we'll wrap up with my favorite. I'm going to go with the same artist. Again, had sort of this 90s thing, and they wanted something, or I thought that the song would be a lot more palatable if it was like totally funky. There's sort of a Beatles-esque quality to his writing too, in his voice, which I do like. That I tried to bring out.
Where does the time go? Fly with crooked wings, and the ghosts have left you all alone with strangely simple things.
For those of you who remember Marshall amplifiers, get ready.
Damn to repeat the past. You let go of crooked wings and free your soul at last. Only then would you realize that it's always been you.
All right. Okay, so we just went back like 15 years in our time machine. So, same song, different production. That's a hook.
Where does the time go when you fly with crooked wings? The ghosts have left you all alone with strangely simple things. You spent your whole life damned to repeat the past. lets you down. Moments get sacrificed when you're left to play the clown. If you spent your whole life and wore your heart upon your sleeve,
Rock and feel in the background.
be the makers of the music,
Orchestral
be the
versus
dreamers
rock.
of the dreams. Only then would you realize that it's always been you. It was dark back then, but now that feeling's come again.
All the people hooked are around the vocals, not on top of
Speak
them.
the wisdom, your words like music. It's dripping off your tongue, and it beats like a drum. Hey, yeah. It was dark back then, but now that feeling's come again. Speak the wisdom, your words like music, strip it off your tongue, and it beats like a drum. Hey, yeah.
Alright, that was pretty sick, so now we got a chance to breathe. Let's bring it in for a landing.
Where does the time go? When does it end?
Alright. Alright, thanks. Alright, here's the last one, and then I'll take any questions, or if people want to come chat with me afterwards, I'll be right over there. Here's an artist that brought me a song that I just fell in love with the songwriting the first time I heard it. And unlike how I normally do it with the synergy and we're coming up with great ideas, this guy, he was nice enough to let me dictate exactly how it should go. I said, please give me the honor of doing everything I ask you to do without question. And then when it's done, you'll have an opportunity to change anything and everything. If you don't like it, if you don't love it, we'll start over from scratch. But you've got to follow my direction. This is when I got to be dictator instead of slave. That was really fun for me, by the way. All right. I did mess with him once in a while, too. I had him do some really crazy stuff that had nothing to do with the song, just for fun. But, he's like, I don't know what this has to do with the song, but I trust you, Joe. Okay. And then later on, I told him it had nothing to do with the song. I was just keeping myself entertained. So anyway, the song is called Giant, and this guy is probably one of the best songwriters I've ever worked with. And here's the demo that he brought me. I'll give you a verse and a chorus of it. Can you turn it up a little? Thanks.
Reds and whites and whites and reds high above my head. Giant, can you make me as tall as you are? Can you give me a strength like your strength? Can you forge me a fate like you? Giants, I want to see like you see. I want to be like you be. Oh, I want to be like you.
Okay, that was the before. So again, I asked him, the first thing I asked him to do was please sing it full voice instead of falsetto. I just didn't feel like that was the best use of his talents, and he had a great full voice. And we wanted to make this thing like really, really accessible for film, TV, radio, people to just love and get off on. So, so this is I brought in a studio drummer, and we created a band sound. Even though it was the drummer and me playing all the instruments, I think he played a couple too. And but this is what we did. And this will also demonstrate both the dynamics roadmap, the opposites, the multi-dimensional dynamic juxtaposition, everything we've talked about, the ego shaping, all kind of rolled into one final thing. Thanks for listening, everybody. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate you coming down and giving me all your attention.